Governing body member Jeffrey Winder recently gave a lecture at the annual meeting in upstate New York, telling all 9 million Jehovah's Witnesses worldwide that they should stop acting like children who need rules to keep them in line and instead just use common sense in the form of Bible principles. You guys, this is a huge middle finger to Jehovah's Witnesses because now that they're being sued into oblivion and being forced to recognize their own painful irrelevance in 2026, the leadership basically thinks they can divest themselves of responsibility by framing the organization in a really benevolent light.
In recent years, when adjustments have been made in our organization, the governing body has avoided laying down a lot of rules, but rather provided Bible principles to guide Christian decisions. Think about some of the adjustments we've had recently. Publishers no longer report their hours or placements in the ministry. We've had adjustments in how we deal with ones who have been removed from the congregation. A Christian can decide whether to extend an invitation to one to attend the meeting, or one can decide whether they'd like to give a brief but warm welcome when they come to the Kingdom Hall. We've had adjustments in our dress and grooming. Brothers can wear beards. Sisters can wear pants. Brothers don't always have to wear ties in every situation. There's the clinking of glasses and toasting, our choice of education. In all these adjustments, the brothers don't give us a long list of rules, but rather principles to give us guidance.
No more shaving that beard. No more dreaded pantyhose. Higher education is a personal choice. No more logging every minute of door knocking, ignoring congregation slackers, or stressing about a long list of rules. And it's all thanks to something so beautiful in its simplicity: principles. Bitch, if that's the case, why haven't you been doing it this whole time? All right, so what Poindexter over here is conveniently failing to mention is that for over half a century, the stone-cold reality was that these born-again principles were the rules. I guarantee you now the bowels of hell will freeze over before his scrawny ass and any of the other governing body ever admits their culpability or issues any kind of public, official apology for their failures. I mean, not only are these attempts to appear more mainstream too little too late, it's like, we already know you're crazy. The world knows you're crazy. A goatee isn't going to change that. And not only is it insulting to all the old-timers in the organization who were threatened for years with swift punishment if they grew that beard or took that scholarship, but all this stupid little minutia that he's listing off is really just a distraction from what kick-started this sudden shift to principles in the first place: mounting legal scrutiny over their shunning mandate. If you've been watching my channel for any length of time, you know that I'm not like a theological deep dive. You know I don't get into any extensive scriptural discussions. It's just not my thing. John is way better at that stuff. I'm far more incensed and motivated to talk about the psychological damage, all the layers, peeling back all those crazy layers of watchtower indoctrination that, the organization has inflicted upon its parishioners, current and survivors alike. And for the past few years, the governing body has been attempting to cover their ass in court, most recently, most notably Norway, by insisting that their inhumane legacy of cutting off and shunning family members, not just somebody, random person who leaves, but your own family, acting like it's never been a thing.
As the meeting progressed with Mr. Wall, the elders came to the decision that Mr. Wall was not sufficiently repentant for his disgraceful conduct, and the congregation elders took the decision to disfellowship him. That word is used by Jehovah's Witnesses. Jehovah's Witnesses don't use the word shun or shunning. They refer to it as disfellowship, disfellowshipping, disfellowshipped, because that really gives the sense of what's taking place within this particular religious community. Disfellowship literally means no further spiritual fellowship with the individual. And as I point out, sorry, Chief Justice, as I point out at paragraph 22 of my factum, the nature of the relationship then of a disfellowship person is not completely shunned. The disfellowship person is able to come into the congregation, to the congregation meetings. They're able to attend in the Kingdom Hall of Jehovah's Witnesses. They're able to sit wherever they like. They can sing the spiritual songs with the congregation. As far as their family members are concerned, normal family relations continue with the exception of spiritual fellowship. And the door's not closed to Mr. Wall either. The person who is disfellowshipped can, after a period of time, ask to be reinstated in the congregation. because that's the purpose of the discipline.
What's the expression? How does it go? You tell a lie long enough, you start to believe it. That's what Winder and the governing body is hoping to accomplish with Jehovah's Witnesses. Winder in this whole sermon is really trying to condition Jehovah's Witnesses to believe that the governing body hasn't had a heavy hand in splitting up families, but instead, the logical conclusion, based on Bible principles, is that you probably shouldn't be close to your family member who isn't serving Jehovah anymore. Based on Bible principles, your conscience should lead you to that conclusion. It has nothing to do with the fact that we used to punish you and threaten you on pain of death that you don't speak to your mom or your father or your son or your daughter.
Also, it's possible to obey a rule or a law for the wrong reason. Maybe this is because what everyone else is doing, or to avoid the penalty of disobedience.
You guys, I know we're sick of the word gaslighting, but I mean if the shoe fits, all right? But the real question is this working? After decades of hard-ass policy enforcement, it sounds like a really slippery slope to just start letting your parishioners, follow their conscience. Following Bible principles instead of these hardline rules feels so freeing, so progressive, almost like it has the potential to make them unrecognizable as God's one true people, one true chosen organization on earth.
But isn't the governing body concerned that without giving proper rules, some might make unwise choices in these areas? Might some do less in the ministry because we're no longer turning in a report? Might some have too much association with ones who've been removed from the congregation? Or perhaps dress too casually or immodestly at the meetings or in the ministry, or groom our beards in a way that distracts? Might some share in toasting in some inappropriate way or occasion, or make unwise choices regarding education? Wouldn't it be safer to give clear rules? That way everyone would know exactly what to do. No one would take a misstep. Well, to be sure, laws have their place. Some matters are plainly right and wrong, and so Jehovah makes specific laws.
See, they got themselves in a pickle. Watchtower knows that they've relaxed their standards beyond recognition. Because, it used to be like we're separate from the world. We dress a certain way. We talk a certain way. Well, now you're throwing all these things out the window. You have to adjust. You have to pander to younger generations. All of y'all are dying off. And it's going to be really hard, right? It's going to be really hard to corral a bunch of parishioners who don't feel shackled, who no longer feel shackled by these clearly defined rules. This rule book that you had forever. Winder even admits this. He says that the witnesses could be following rules or following a law for the wrong reasons, that they might be just falling in line because they're afraid of being punished. And what's the punishment in Jehovah's Witnesses? Losing your family and being shunned. I mean, right there, a blatant admission, of the real reason they've had to soften their position. It's not because and I've talked about this before in the Shepherd the Flock of God video that I did about the Secret Elders Manual. It's not because they're becoming actually progressive or understanding or reasonable. This is the real reason they've softened their position. They're losing people. They're bleeding membership. They're screwed. They know they're screwed. It has nothing to do with the Bible. Winder's entire sermon is just loaded with your garden variety of contradictions and hypocrisy. One of the most egregious pieces of irony in this shit show is that Winder is suggesting Jehovah's Witnesses should follow Bible principles only because the governing body is giving them permission to follow Bible principles.
Isn't it reassuring to see the trust and confidence that Jehovah shows in us by giving us principles instead of a myriad of laws? When we're young, we need rules, don't we? Don't run with the scissors. Don't cross the street by yourself. Well, Jehovah doesn't treat us like children. He has confidence that in a spiritual way, we can learn to be guided by Bible principles and make good decisions.
You guys, this is madness. It's okay to follow Bible principles now because 12 men in upstate New York are saying it's okay to follow your own conscience. Of course, you can't do ... These are actual laws. There's right and wrong, definite right and wrong. But there are other things in the past that were right and wrong in your book that are now principles. Sorry about that. The notion that they don't treat you like a child is laughable. You guys know, the truth is you never grow up in the Jehovah's Witnesses. You are permanently infantilized. I don't care what changes they're coming out with out of Warwick. It doesn't mean anything. You all know the culture of the Jehovah's Witnesses. You never grow up in the Jehovah's Witnesses because the culture just doesn't allow it. There will always be someone who's older, miserable, just racked with regret, who's trying to keep you in line, making sure you fall in line because they never had the courage to break free. What are they going to do? Tell you to leave? Oh, good luck in life. I hope you succeed and do all these wonderful things with your freedom. I hope, good luck with your freedom while I stay here. Hell no. They've walked back on issues that were punishable offenses for decades, such as, now you can give a brief greeting or a simple greeting to a disfellowshipped or removed person. They know they have to make these additional changes if they're going to have any chance at survival, in the TikTok generation, in this highly digital world where people have information at their fingertips and have knowledge of their bizarre, harmful, antiquated practices. They have to change. And all the while, the worst part of all this is all the old timers, the ones whose backs the organization was built on, are being forced to accept that their life of sacrifice, all those years of sacrifice, were in vain. If I was a Jehovah's Witness right now in my 60s, 70s, 80s, or whatever, I'd be super pissed. I think a common misconception when I do this, it's like to make fun of witnesses or that you want bad things. No, a lot of us, I can't speak for everybody who does this and gets on the internet, but a lot of us, we were in your shoes. We know we're criticizing the policies, we're criticizing the leadership, but we want you to be free. You who are shackled right now, we want you to be free, to wake up to it. And if I was in your shoes right now, I'd be pissed at all these changes, especially this talk by Winder. You've been lied to. You deserve better. Okay, guys, that's all I got. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that like and subscribe button, and I will see you in the next video.